Good evening and happy Father's Day and welcome to the live exchange. I'm Dr. Pamela.
I'm Robert Pierce.
And happy Father's Day, Robert.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
I thank you for everything that you do as a father, as a role model, raising a productive citizen in this United States so that she can contribute to the world. I appreciate you for all that you do.
Thank you. It's not an easy job, but it's one that's rewarding, and I'm glad that I was given the responsibility to be a father, and I don't take it lightly. So I'm blessed today.
Oh, I love it. And I also have to give honor to my own father, Alfonso Larde, who is amazing and just, always there, all in, 100%. And so
shout out to my father, Robert Pierce Sr. Shout out to him. Talked to him earlier today. And so I'm actually going to call him back after the show to talk some more. So shout out, Happy Father's Day.
Yes. So I just to kind of, give thanks that he was always there for my games. He was always there for, front and center on all of that. So I just want to make sure I give him proper shout out.
Absolutely.
So thank
Happy
you
Father's
to
Day.
my father for everything that you've done for me.
Absolutely.
So today we are looking at activism. We are going to continue the conversation on activism, and we're going to look at it from a couple of different angles. We're going to look at it from the standpoint of what it means to be an activist with a camera. Any one of us can be an activist at any time with a camera.
And you may not even want to. You can just spring up on you. You're just in this place, and it's time to pull the camera out.
Yeah, you just, what do you do in that moment? So today we're going to talk to two people who had an opportunity to be in that moment. One was planned, one was unplanned. And so it'll be really interesting to hear their stories. And the second half of the show, we are going to have a panel of Black fathers so that we can hear their experience about what it means to really how fatherhood and activism really go hand in hand. The work that fathers do is activism. So
absolutely.
I'm really looking forward to that panel.
Yes, it's going to be a fun show today. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. Not quite as heavy as it has been, but things have not necessarily changed. We are just looking at it from a different standpoint.
From a different perspective. We've seen a lot has happened, since our last show. Some good, some bad, you know what I mean? But we're pressing forward. The struggle is still being fought in the streets. The protests are still going on, but we're seeing some headway, and with the laws, and so that's a good thing.
A lot, but not enough. But a lot. I'm
not enough, but
we're
But it is definitely encouraging to see the progress that's happening throughout the country, and so I'm encouraged. And I look forward to the weeks to come to see what happens.
I love what this is doing to the potential or to the election potential results of this. There's just so much. So with that said, I look forward to this show. Get engaged, get involved. Join us on Facebook Live. Put your comments, ask your questions. We want you to be engaged.
We want to hear from you. And we'll be back on the live exchange. Welcome back to the live exchange. Dr. Pam, what's going on with trending topics this week?
Oh my goodness. Boy, is it a list.
All right.
Well, I mean, if we start with the latest thing, first of all, the coronavirus is back in it's peaking again. And we have hit 2.2 million cases here in the United States.
Wow.
I didn't even know when we surpassed. I mean, I remember getting to 1 million, but we are at 2 million.
Pretty quickly.
Yeah, because it wasn't that long ago. We were,
at one, right?
At one. So that's huge. But on top of that, we had we didn't, but there was a rally that happened in Tulsa.
Last night, right?
Yes, it happened last night. And there were some really obscene, awful, racially heavy things that the president said during that rally. And to me, it really made me wonder, to what extent was this really a presidential rally? What was given that the American people need to hear. And I didn't hear anything.
No, it sounded like it was a pep rally for white nationalists to gather arms and get ready.
Yes, it really did. And you know, the stadium was not full. It was, you know, so that's one piece. And then we had on the outside, we had some protests that were, of course, opposing, you know, the presidential election, which is perfectly normal. But then we also had, you know, we had Black Lives Matter. We had people protesting about awareness against police brutality. It was largely peaceful, and you know, and so it spoke volumes to the contrast between the two crowds, because the other crowd were armed. They had full, I mean, and assault rifles. And this was part of some of the people that were there were a part of a group that was about militarism. Let's just take back our country kind of mindset. And
unfortunately, that's a large part of our president's base. Is that demographic. Right. And you know, it was no accident where he held the rally. He knew what he was doing. Yes. And it was a rallying call to, like I said, just to, let's call it what it is. You know, get ready. We need to take our country back. So bear arms and let me rile you up.
Yeah.
And so
the double standard is so extreme. You know, that if the protesters against, you know, racial injustice were to come out there fully armed with assault rifles, we already know.
The thing is, you know, I think it's indicative of the change that's in the country, because it was not full. You know what I mean?
It was not full.
They even had an overflow outside. They said it was only like 10 people out there, and they were encouraging them to go inside. Yes. And so that's showing that the country, we're just not, you know, nobody want to hear this. And I really believe the country, we're just waiting till November to get them out of there.
Get them out. And honestly, I think it's more than a national shift. I think it's a global shift that we're seeing happen here.
Absolutely.
And I'm very, very encouraged. On top of that, what I thought was really slick was, I don't know if you're hip to K-pop. Does that sound familiar to you? Okay. So K-pop.
No. I know who they are, but there's no way. I know exactly who they are. They're the boy band from Korea.
You might have a new respect for them, because the K-pop crowd are part of the reason why the rally was not populated. And what they did is they took tickets. They reserved tickets, a lot of tickets. And there was a whole movement on social media to reserve a ticket and not go. And I thought that was brilliant. They are at the forefront of overpowering this movement that the president has going.
I love it. And it just shows, again, the power of social media and the power of our young people.
Oh my goodness. I'm so impressed with them.
And we gave up on them for so many years. We did shows, about the state of our young people, but they showing up.
Yeah. I mean, and this happens every generation. We have become that generation that looks at the young people like, So, right. But it's a cycle. It happens every generation. So what they're calling this generation are the Zoomers. These are the preteens, the teenagers, and it's amazing to see, what they're doing. And so I'm highly encouraged by the new crop of activists that I'm seeing come up. And the other thing is, another big headline is Aunt Jemima and Uncle Ben's are getting a makeover. They have been in our cupboards forever. And sometimes I know that I've heard things over the years like, ooh, that's not a good image, or that's not good imagery. And I learned about it, of course, in college and in my ethnic studies class, why these images are offensive. And so finally, these products, I could say Uncle Ben's has been around, I don't know, the 1800s, 1880 something. So
as long as I've been here, I've been eating Uncle Ben.
And you've been here, right? Not since the 1800s, but
since I've been here.
But they are going to change that completely. So it'll be interesting to see, how that evolves. But it just speaks to how all of these industries are waking up and they're saying, you know what, we need to do something different.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's coming from everywhere. Even for Juneteenth, there was corporations that were giving their employees paid days off.
Yes, and there's a movement to create a national holiday.
Yes, so we're seeing some headway. So, we just got to stay with it. But we're going to come back. We're going to do some more talking. We're going to bring our guests in here on the live exchange, and we're going to talk activism today. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
All right, welcome back to the live exchange. I'm Dr. Pamela.
And I'm Robert Pierce.
And we are getting ready to see our first guest on today's show. As we mentioned, we're looking at activism and activism specifically with a camera. So our first guest is Daniel V. Miranda. And we can bring Daniel on. Hey, Daniel.
Hey, what's up, Daniel?
Pierce, Robert, what's going on, man? Dr. Pamela, good to see you guys.
Good to see you.
Thank you for joining.
I love your Facebook page.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. Wow.
So Daniel,
I appreciate that.
No problem. So Daniel is a photographer, and I'm going to give you just a little bit about him. So when I'm exploring his Facebook page, I see that a lot of his work, there's a broad scope. We've got weddings, we've got location shots, we've got these like really artistic looking kind of photos. Now he shot his first wedding at the age of 12. I love you because I have been telling my kids, you guys can make money now. Even if you don't make money, you can make a portfolio.
That one was for free, though.
But I'm saying, and that's why I threw that in there, because even if you don't make money, you can start building your portfolio. And
Absolutely.
I love it. So he began shooting for 40 years, professionally for 5, and he's now full time. So if you all want to check him out, it's DVM Photography. Is that correct?
DVM Productions. Yeah.
DVM Productions, and it's the dvmp.com. So first, let me tell everybody why we've got here. So one of the things that I saw in scrolling in social media, I don't even know how I found it. I think somebody shared the page, but there was an event called White Coats for Black Lives. Really powerful event at Grady Hospital where the medical team, the medical staff came out and they basically did a demonstration for Black lives. I would love to hear your take on it, but Daniel was a photographer at the rally.
Let me tell you how that happened. Two of my sister-in-laws, they worked there and they posted the thing on Facebook, the little invite, Grady, on such and such a date, we're going to stand out for 8 minutes and 46 seconds for George Floyd. And so I reached out to my other photographer who shoots for a luxury modern magazine. It's a big magazine out here in Atlanta. They got an umbrella of different magazines. They got medical, apartments, fashion, all that other stuff. And I said, hey, you might want to come check this out. So we get there and we meet up with the director or something like that. And we were the only 2 media guys there. There was Fox 5 and then just me and Rashawn were the only ones shooting that.
Wow.
And I turned to him and I said, dude, this event is bigger than us.
Yeah.
I shot video. It was really hard because I shot video and stills. The actual video has been shared over 3,000 times on Facebook. The actual pictures have been shared over another 4,000 times. The director from the Morehouse Medical College shared all the pictures and the video to his staff. This is how big this was.
Wow.
And to shoot an event like that, I was telling my other photographers, my heart was pounding. And when I say pounding, because it was just a huge event, bigger than I'd ever thought before. Probably my biggest event that I've ever shot.
Wow.
But to capture what we try to do is we try to put you in it. I don't want everybody else take pictures of people in the signs and all that stuff. But if you actually go look at the pictures,
that's how
we want you to feel the event. We want you to be there. And every single picture, you can tell that people really, really were taking a stance for Black lives, taking a stance for George Floyd and his family, taking a stance for the medical field that's been helping us out with the pandemic that's going on right now. And these pictures are just speaking volumes. And not only that, I sent it to Pam earlier. Tokyo news outlet picked up the article in Tokyo. Wow. Yes. I was like, what? Yeah, they were just like, did you shoot this? I said, yeah. They go, do you mind if we share it? I said, please do. Let them see that out here in Atlanta, that we really care about not only our medical field, but the world in itself in regards to what's going on with George Floyd and Black Lives Matter and social justice.
I love it. So I have a question, and you may have been asked this before, but in the past, when we have had protests and pushing for police brutality against Black people, it has just been Black people. And I'm curious to know how you came to be involved, and how did you feel? Did you feel welcome? Did you what's your experience in being involved with this movement?
They call me, well, it's kind of weird because my parents are from Mexico, so I'm considered a Mexican.
Okay.
Excuse me, but my wife's Black, my kids are Black, 90% of my friends are Black, my church is Black, but
all your photography has beautiful Black people.
But I was never raised to love a certain particular culture. My parents raised me as just loving everybody, like Jesus Christ loved everybody. That's the way I was raised.
I love it.
But I personally think I've been racially profiled, not only personally, but in my marriage. We still get those looks, I hate, and I got a 16-year-old son, and I have to teach him that. I literally had to have the conversation with him saying, dude, when you go outside of this house, out of this area, you have to be careful, man. You gotta be careful. Wow. Don't disrespect the police officers. You be obedient. And it's sad that I had to tell him that, but that's the kind of world that we live in now.
Right.
Yeah. And first, let me say Happy Father's Day to you.
Yes,
thank you. You too, Robert. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. And my question is, and you just touched on it, as a father, in the climate that's going on, talk about the feelings, when your son leaves your house, and to the point he comes home, share with that, what you go through as a father, just trying to raise your son to do the right thing, but knowing the world that he's about to go into.
I guess I go old school. You know how they say, when you leave this home, you represent me. And that's what I tell my son. That's what I tell my son. I said, dude, when you leave here, you represent me. I said, Mirandas, we're not lazy. Mirandas are go people. Mirandas are leaders. I said, that's what you are. You're a leader. You're a go guy. Yeah. And I just implement that today. He really blessed me today because he texted me. He's in Cali visiting his mom right now, but he really blessed me. And he really blessed me. And he just texted me and said, Happy Father's Day, Dad. I love you. Thank you for all you do for me. And just to hear my son say something like that, just really, really touched my heart. And I worry as much as the next guy. He's a black young man living in a crazy world. And I just said in a Facebook post I said a while ago, I said, my job is to show him that war is not the answer, that the love of Jesus Christ is the answer, and Amen. Peace is the answer. And that's all I've just embedded in him. And I got to show it to him in my daily walk. I just can't tell him, but I have to be an example.
Yeah, that's so powerful. Well, we're going to go to break, so stay with us.
I'm here.
Good. We got more to talk about, so we'll be right back on the Live Exchange. All right, so the science. Looking at the science, we are going to be looking at the results of the 5 years in. Body cameras were implemented 5 years ago. And what is being found is that body cameras really haven't done enough to change policing. Surprise, surprise, right? So in spite of the fact that body cameras have been required, there's several, loopholes that we've seen happen. Police officers will take them off. There was a case in Colorado in which a young man was basically beaten to death unjustifiably. He was unarmed for no reason. He was beaten to death. And the police officers on the scene said, man, turn your body camera away. So it's really more of it was a Band-Aid for, we'll just do this. And it was a well-meaning Band-Aid for sure. I mean, in some ways the cams have certainly helped, but there's also the person that still has to wear the camera who has the integrity or doesn't have the integrity. And if they don't have the integrity, they're going to find out how to get around those cameras. And that's what's been discovered. So That's the research.
Yeah, that's I'm not surprised. You know, they've found tricks because, like you said, if your heart is looking to do harm to people and not do the right thing, there's loopholes around everything. You know, I've seen them turned off or they mysteriously fall. You know what I mean? Right in the heat of battle, all of a sudden they're on the ground where you can't see, and so some of them don't even turn them on.
Right.
And so
even some of us as photographers, when we have the opportunity to shoot, you know, a protest, a rally, a march, sometimes we'll capture stuff that we don't even see. We're actually looking at maybe a sign, but there's probably something behind that that is captured that we had no idea we captured it. You know, and a lot of people don't know that it's against the law for the police department to demand for our pictures, because once we take those pictures, we are the sole owners of those pictures.
Wow.
They actually need a warrant to get the cameras, the little SD cards, the micro cards.
Yeah,
they need a warrant to get those from you. So once you have that, don't give those things up. You know, a lot of people think that.
Law against them asking for either one of you? Is there a law against them asking you to turn your camera off or to not film?
No, as long as you, and I've researched this, as long as you're on public, like a public street, you can take as many pictures as you want. There's no law against it. Once you start letting it into private property, then you got to start asking questions or asking permission. But if you're on a public street, if you're on a public sidewalk, you can take as many pictures as you want.
Yeah.
With now listen though, with your phone or with our professional cameras, you can do that as much as you want. There's no law against it.
Awesome.
I love it. I know that there were pushes for laws against it. There were.
Oh yeah. But, and don't get tricked for the photographers out there. Don't get tricked by saying, "Hey, I need you to give me that SD card." Nope. You don't have to give it up.
That is so good for people to know.
Information. Yeah.
So tell us more about the event in, you know, the was it White Coats for COVID? Is that what it was called?
It's White Coats for Black Lives.
For Black Lives, not for COVID.
You know what amazed me? There's a couple things that amazed me. One thing was if you look at the pictures, I had to ask. There's white coats, and then there's blue scrubs, black scrubs, and green scrubs. See, I didn't know that. You're a doctor, so you know that.
I will.
Okay.
No, that
But the white coats are doctors.
Yes.
And what really amazed me was how many black, white coats. It was amazing. All these doctors that are so educated, that are so astute. The guy who spoke, if you look at the video, he sounded like Martin Luther King. He had this voice. He wasn't reading his script. He was literally off of his mind and stuff. But I want to give out a shout out to Rashawn, because he's watching right now, Focus Minor Photography. He's the one that helped me out too. Okay, but the other one was Kevin Lyles. Kevin Lyles, he shoots for the Washington Post, Atlanta Braves. He shoots out here in Atlanta.
Okay.
One thing that he taught us as photographers, he taught me, was shoot outside the event. So if you look at the pictures, they're actually doing construction right across the street from Grady Hospital. And so I was taking pictures of the construction workers because it was open to the public, but most of it was for the doctors and the nurses. We had Morehouse College of Medicine was there, plus Emory University, plus Grady was there. There was probably about a good 15 to 2,000 people there, right? Wow. But what really captured me, there's one picture that really caught me, was we had construction guys kneeling down in the street with the doctors when they did the 8 minutes and 40 seconds.
Oh my gosh.
I was just like, ugh. And you're trying to focus because, you know, this will never happen again. Well, let's pray that it doesn't happen again. But to capture this moment and hold it, I said, we're holding time. Yes. You know, we just captured time right now. And there's a picture, and I'll probably post it up after tonight, after we talk. I'm going to post it up again. But there's this one construction guy, got him from the back shooting up. And he was just knelt down, and I could literally look at his face, and I could see, like, you know, he was really hurting for what was going on and stuff. And just to see, you know, shout out to Kevin again, to shoot outside the event. You know, the event is there, but you got these construction guys, you got police officers, you got the MARTA people, you know, all these people that are respecting what we're doing here.
Wow, that is powerful. I love that. I love when photographers and videographers get that footage, you know, of what else is happening. It's, you know, because you have an eye and, you know, an eye that other people may not have in those moments.
Yeah. It was like I said, there was like, it's called adrenaline, but my heart was pounding. And the other thing that we tried to do was, me and Rashawn, we got there, this thing started at 1, we Ubered there. So we got there like 12:20, 12:15. And we literally just scoped out the whole place. What are we doing? And he tells me, dude, you better go up on that rooftop right there to get a shot of the whole thing. So as soon as they started kneeling down, I literally ran up top to the highest part and took a picture of it, got the shot, and then ran right back down again, and then started taking some more pictures and stuff.
Wow.
But everybody, I want to shout out to Grady. Everybody in Grady was amazing. The director, the people that was helping us, they were leading us and stuff. And we were the only 2 media guys there. That's what really shocked me. There's no other pictures of it.
Yeah. Well, and it was so powerful. I mean, so you mentioned that, your heart is racing, and I would just love to know, in that moment, did you feel a sense of activism? What did you feel like you're there for?
One thing I want to say is that was my only event that I've shot in regards to George Floyd, Black Lives Matter. I haven't shot anything else. This was the only one. And the feeling I got was an awe feeling, like an awe moment, like a wow moment. Like, when you hear dead silence for 8 minutes and 46 seconds. And then I started thinking about George, and what he had to go through. Then I started thinking, my wife started running, bye, babe. When I started thinking about the doctors that had to deal with, the COVID and all this other stuff that's going on. And then we add this on top of it. And then we got, protests. There was so much going on in this part of Atlanta that it's hard to explain, but you're capturing a moment that is going to be embedded in history. Even as we speak now, even as we're speaking now and in the future, every day we're making new history right now with what's going on with Black Lives Matter, what's going on with the movement, what's going on with the COVID, what's going on with media, what's going on with entertainment. Every day right now, there's a change happening. They say it's like a revolution, but there's a change happening. And it's a good change. It's a good change. And I just pray that, God continues to use my lens to capture these moments because, it's amazing.
And I know you understand the power, but I want to say this so that everybody else understands the power of capturing these moments, because the story that is told is the story that really dictates the history of our country and what our story is and what we're about and the laws that are passed. And when the story is not told correctly or accurately, we fall into lies. It is more easily to oppress certain people, and so it is so powerful when the truth is told, when the stories are told, because it really is, it is an act of activism, but it truly is to be able to historically document what truly happened, because there are a lot of initiatives to cover up what really happened and to rewrite that history.
What's crazy is Decatur, the courthouse of Decatur. I was scouting that location just a couple of days ago, and in front of it they had this monument. Right, you guys heard on the news. Yeah. And I literally took a picture of it. Okay, I literally took a picture of it because around it was Black Lives Matter, turn this thing down. I mean, they had it all graffitied out and stuff like that. And just the other day, they took it down.
They took it down. They did.
They took it down. I have a picture of it.
You have a picture.
Before it was before it was erected down and stuff like that. I had no idea that they've been trying to do that for years. I had no idea.
Yeah.
But let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, because I don't think they should have done it. I truly believe that these monuments that they're trying to destroy, to dismantle. This is my personal opinion. I truly believe that those are actual markers in life that we can actually look back and say, look at where we've come from. I understand what they're trying to do, but my personal opinion is leave them up. I want my child to see, look, this monument is because of where we came from. Does that make any sense to you?
That's interesting. We're going to go to break, but I think that's a really interesting question to keep on the table. So when we come back, we're definitely going to address that.
Put it on the table.
All right. We'll be back.
Keeping Your Balance with Dr. Pamela. Dr. Pamela. Dr. Pamela.
All right. So this week's balance challenge is simple. It's one word. Read.
Read?
Read.
That's a good word. Read.
I want y'all to read. Learn some things.
Read what?
So
what do you want us to read?
I want you to read about what's going on. Read these policies that are being passed. Read the executive order that came through. Read. Find out what's actually going on. Now, the interesting thing is that the news will give us the angle as it pertains to what their particular interests are. So CNN gives us an angle, MSNBC gives us an angle, Fox gives us an angle. Read.
Yeah.
Okay. One of the things that I saw last night, and I was a little late to the game, but there is an activist who is she is an artist, actress, activist, spoken word, and her name is Angela Jones, and she did a kind of really a monologue, just speaking her mind. And one of the things that she was talking about was Tulsa and Rosewood, and how those communities were obliterated. Every time, and it just as examples of every time Black people build something and create something, it gets destroyed. What she did after that, I saw her in an interview. She did her research. She read, and come to find out, there are 85 other communities who were destroyed, just like Rosewood, just like Tulsa. 85. Yeah, I knew about Rosewood because of the movie. I knew about Tulsa
because of the movie. Yeah.
Right. 85. I mean, so it actually made me think maybe we do need reparations. When your communities have been destroyed, I mean, bombs dropped in Tulsa.
Yeah, right.
That's serious. So, read, you guys. That is the balance challenge. Read. If you don't read anything else, read about that.
Yes.
Read about the executive order that's been passed. Read the policy on lynching. Read things that are being passed.
I love it. I accept that challenge.
Yes. We'll be back.
We'll be back.
All right. Welcome back to the live exchange. I'm Dr. Pamela.
And I'm Robert Pierce.
And we are joined by Daniel Miranda, who is a photographer, and he actually took part in white coats for, I was going to say COVID again.
Yeah. White coats for Black Lives Matter.
White coats for Black Lives. Let's bring Daniel back on.
Yeah.
Hey, Daniel.
What's up, bro?
I love the shirt, by the way.
I hit the wrong button.
Okay.
Let's shoot.
It's okay. Well, before you left us, you asked a really important question. And that was the question about the monuments. It was, why take them down when they tell my son, they tell myself why I'm where I am. It gives us a piece of history. Well, I have an opinion, but I would love, Robert, for you to, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Robert, what do you think? Robert, what do you think?
Well, and I hear what you said, but for the African American community, when we see that, unfortunately, those monuments are still being used for signs of oppression. Okay. And as reminders is, we still have you under our knees on your neck.
I can see that. I totally respect that. I look at it.
Just even as far as, just let's go even further. Stone Mountain. When you look at the Confederate soldiers on Stone Mountain, that every time a African American looks, we see oppression, we see slavery. Those were representatives of the Ku Klux Klan who are very much active these days. So it would be yes, if it was just a monument and we were not still feeling the same oppression that those monuments represent. But because we are still feeling it, it cannot be a monument. It's showing us right in our face what's happening today.
Well, Robert, let me interject this though. But what about our history books don't tell half the story. Okay. No, our history books leave out a lot of stuff that we're just now learning about slavery and this guy owned this and he had this. And we can't rely on our school system to teach our children the history. Maybe it's the Black history, or that for me it'd be the Aztec history and how, our land was taken too as Aztecs.
Absolutely.
And I want to learn about that.
Yeah. So it's like, as the Hispanic community, we're in the same boat,
Absolutely.
Where do we train our children or teach our children history.
Yeah.
This is, like I said, but this is my personal opinion. Yeah. Those are the landmarks. Those are the landmarks, son. Okay, you see that Stone Mountain? You see those guys at Stone Mountain? Those guys were such and such and such and such.
And which we do. I know I've done that with my.
Yeah, you know, which we've come a long way, and I would not be able to teach my son or my daughter that because it's gone.
So let me offer this, because my thought is we don't need to parade them around the city. Put them in a museum. Let's have a museum.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Civil War museum, you know, and you know, hopefully.
Oh, let's take some pictures of them.
Take some pictures.
But no, that's a good idea. A museum or something. But they're spread all over the city. You know, even names, even street names. If you did research street names, and so it's just a constant reminder of it's always in our face, and that can get draining.
I wonder if it has anything to do with being new to the city. Like, and I don't know, Daniel, if you've been here. I know
20 years. 20 years.
Yeah. Moving here, and I've been here 10 years. It was shocking to me. I grew up in California, and that's West Side, y'all. This is West Side.
Yeah, that's West Side. I don't know nothing about that.
So moving here was shocking. When I saw Robert E. Lee Boulevard or whatever, when I see, you know, I'm like, whoa, this is deep. You know, so
but you're in the South. That's one thing. When we moved out here back in 2002, 2001, 2002, like I said, California, redneck. We're going to the redneck, you know, community. We're going to be around a whole bunch of white people and all that stuff. Nope. It's a huge melting pot. Yeah. You know, I didn't know that it was a huge melting pot. And so for me, I fit in. I just fit in, whether it's Hispanic, white, Asian, Black, Korean, Indian, whatever, you know. Like I said before, I was raised up to love everybody. So, you know, absolutely. But I got to teach my children, like my daughter and my son, those landmarks. This is, like I said, my personal opinion. Yeah. Those, I look at it as a tattoo. You know, you get a tattoo, that tattoo, I can tell you exactly when I put it. I can tell you why I put it. I can tell you how it hurt. I can tell you how much it cost, because those are time markers in my life. Gotcha. And I look at those monuments as time markers. This is why we put it up. This is why this was it. And we have learned from this.
So let me
like I said, Robert, that's just my opinion.
Oh, no, I respect. Yeah, respect.
And I have another kind of way of looking at this. You know, I just mentioned during the break or during the Balance Challenge that, you know, Tulsa, where, you know, the massacre that happened 99 years ago of the Black communities that were built, how would we feel about a monument put up of the people who led that massacre? I would prefer a monument of the people who were probably, you know, victimized through that, if anything, or some kind of thing saying in honor of the lives of, you know, such and such. Yeah. But to, I guess, honor and commemorate the folks who did that, that's a slap in the face.
When we went to Washington, D.C., my wife's father was in the Korean War. And at Washington, D.C., they have this beautiful Korean monument of the Korean soldiers that fought for America and stuff. And she literally, same thing what you're talking about. She literally stood there for a few minutes and just remembered her dad because of this monument. And they were Koreans, you know? So I guess the monuments have their place. Just depends on what you're trying to erect.
Yeah.
Right.
And that you said it right there. What you're trying to erect.
Yeah.
What you're trying to erect. What are you trying to say? And apparently Stone Mountain and these other ones, at the moment in time, they were trying to say something. And we have, like you guys were saying earlier, you got this new wave of I call them part twos, the 20, 25, and 30. That's the part twos that are coming in and they're trying to change the world. And praise God that they're trying to change the world. You know,
absolutely.
It's so sad that it took George Floyd death/murder for this to happen. But they're finally seeing the light that we've seen the light for years. You know, it shouldn't have to happen that way. But one of the pastors that was speaking at his service, I was watching it on CNN when they were having it at his funeral. She said, that like Jesus Christ had 33 years to be here on this earth for a mission. Mm-hmm. And it's so sad that George Floyd's mission was to open this box, you know, to let people see inside this box, this world that we've been living in for so many years. Right. Say, look, dude, it's time, man. You guys got to stop.
And unfortunately, the box isn't pretty, you know, and this is where we are now. But like you said, I'm so encouraged by young people and just how we're coming together as a collective. Yeah. You know, we're seeing less and less people go over to the other side, and there's more people about love, and that's what we need.
And they're looking increasingly foolish.
Yeah. But can I throw this real quick? And because I was in Kirkwood area. I was doing some scouting out there the other day, and I love the people that are out there protesting. I love the people out there with Black Lives Matter, and 90% of them were white. I just don't want this to be a fad. I don't want this to be, you know, I don't want this to be something like, oh yeah, let's get on the bandwagon. Let me put a Black Lives Matter in front of my house and stuff. Dude, you got to understand, man, that all lives matter when Black Lives matter. Right. And you got to understand that. So, you know, I'm my brother. I love you. I love you and you. So.
I love it. And keep taking pictures, because this is what keeps it going. When those images go away, the fire dies. That's how important your work is. So,
Thank you so much.
Keep taking those pictures.
Thank you so much.
How do people get in touch with you? How do people hire you? We might need to hire you for our photo shoot.
Yeah.
We were just saying. We need a photographer.
Well, you got a website is www.thedvmp.com, which initials, that's DVM, which is Daniel V. Miranda, dvmp.com. Okay. Facebook, DVM Productions 2996. Instagram, DVM Productions 2996. Cell phone 678.
I need to get you on Instagram.
678-735-0977. You know what? 90% of my work is word of mouth. It's just it's really more God than anything else, because when you know how they say when God closes one door, he opens up another one.
Yeah.
I could literally tell you that God opened up a floodgate. How about that?
Wow.
I'm actually booked until mid-August right now. We're in June.
Wow.
Awesome.
So
that is amazing.
Congratulations.
Well, your work is so good.
Thank you so much. Wow, thank you.
And please keep up the work. The pictures were amazing, and I just wish the best for you, that the world sees them. You are a part of history.
Yes.
When history is told, your photos will be there.
Yeah.
And so thank you for coming to the front. Thank you for being on the front line in your lane, doing your thing, man. We need it. We love you, bro.
Dr. Pamela. Thank you for reaching out, because I never met her, but I feel like I've known you guys for 5 years.
I know, right? I know.
Yeah, she reached out to me, and she. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
This is America.
Oh, I was going to say, no, Daniel, I have a publishing company, and I would love to do a coffee table book or something with your work. So let's talk. Let's talk.
I know we're running out of time, but I just want to thank everybody for the opportunity. You know, we're out here to bless people. And I just thank you, Dr. Pam. Thank you so much for reaching out. I wouldn't have never known who you are, or this format, or this forum, without Dr. Pamela, just to reach out and say, hey, I love your work. I would love for you to come on. So it's really more Dr. Pamela than me. So
thank you for saying yes.
Love you guys. I got some editing to do tonight. So thank you so much. We'll keep in touch.
Yes, sir. And we'll be back. We're coming back, and we're going to go into our second hour of the live exchange, and we're going to have a talk with some fathers. So we're going to have a good time. We'll be back at the top of the hour.
Let's shoot.
Welcome to the live exchange. I'm Robert Pierce.
And I'm Dr. Pamela.
And today we've been talking activism. Our first hour, we had a wonderful photographer, Daniel Miranda, who took some amazing photos down at an event down at Grady Hospital here in Atlanta. It was White Coats for Black Lives. We just had a wonderful talk about just, that was his first time at a protest or anything. And he's taken some photos that's now been shown around the world. And so it's amazing. And in this hour now, we're going to A little bit later on. We're going to have some brothers that come on, and we're going to just talk fatherhood. Today is Father's Day. So happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. And so that's what we're talking about. So Dr. Pam, what's going on? It was a good first hour, wasn't it?
That was a great first hour. And part of the inspiration for that hour is that there was a video that was going around of a woman in LA who captured police cars that really cornered this man in the middle of the street, and they all had their guns drawn. The man was unarmed. His arms were up. They thought he was somebody who had robbed something. And I don't know whether or not it turned out that he was or wasn't. But she was pleading with him, please just put your guns down. Please, can somebody just go over to him? Can somebody just go over to him? I mean, they had those guns drawn for a long time. And I'm thinking, what are y'all doing? Like, what are y'all doing? I mean, is this just the stand? I mean, the guy's sitting there with his hands up. And she's like, go to him. Somebody go to him. And I just thought that was powerful. She pleaded and cried, and you could hear the trauma. And what she said during that time is, the police officers killed my boyfriend 5 years ago. Wow. And so here she is kind of reliving.
Yeah, reliving that moment.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
what inspired that segment.
Yeah, and it's just so important with, we all have these cell phones, these cameras, and we just never know the video that we take can change somebody's lives and get justice for someone. Imagine if no one was around for George Floyd to take those videos. No one's around for Ahmaud Arbery. You know what I mean? Even though it was one of the aggressive, but that video again, and the video does not guarantee justice, because we know Rodney King, we can go on for days, but it at least gives us a conversation to say, okay, look, we're not making this up, and there has to be change. And so I'm encouraged about all this. And so please continue to take the pictures,
Right. Absolutely. And you posted something where, was it you? I'm not sure if it was you, but you may have, where a Black woman was really challenging a car full of white people who were giving bricks out or trying to give bricks out to protesters. And she was not having it. Like, no, you are not going to destroy our protest by handing out bricks.
Yeah, I posted that. Yeah, it was an African-American. She just challenged these Caucasian kids that were riding down the street giving out bricks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then her argument was, which is valid, you're going to get these kids killed.
Right.
Because, they're out here shooting these kids. You know what I mean? And so why would you do that? And so there's been videos of bricks. I've just got so many videos of police leaving bricks on the streets, mounds of bricks in front of buildings that there's no construction sites all over the place. So these videos are useful. And, and I've heard some people say, well, turn the camera off if I'm getting beat. You know what I mean? Go help me. But we need both. We need the help, but we do need the video. You're going to need that video.
Yeah.
Because think about what the brother Brooks here in Atlanta video again, that multiple videos that
it was the different angles that made the difference in what was charged. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so let's not take it for granted. Don't just take the video camera out to twerk or to take some foolishness. If you see something, let's document.
Yeah. Now there's a safety factor that comes with that. And I was wondering, I actually meant to ask Daniel about that as well. And I would imagine that you need to try to use some level of caution in making sure that you're okay.
Absolutely.
But it's risky business, but it is heroic when you're able to capture something that saves somebody's life.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's not for the faint at heart, because there are consequences that could come with it. Absolutely. But, it's something that has to be done if we're going to continue to be in this fight for justice that we're looking for. We continue to need proof.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we need proof.
Yeah.
Still in 2020, we don't have enough yet to believe that police are doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I can go on for days, but we're going to take a little break, and we're going to come back in the second hour. And again, we're going to have some brothers come on, and we're going to talk fatherhood in these days. So we'll be back here in the live exchange. Welcome back to the live exchange. I'm Robert Pierce.
And I'm Dr. Pamela.
And right now is my segment, Treasures from the Heart. And today is a simple treasure from the heart. I just want to say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out here in the world. And I have a couple of brothers that's going to come on now. And we're going to talk about my treasures from the heart together. Is that all right today?
I love it.
Awesome.
Sounds good to me.
Let's bring them in. We have who we have with us today. Brian Walker. Is he here? Brian Walker. What's up, brother? He's coming in.
What's happening? What's happening? What's happening?
What's going on?
All
Can
right.
y'all, Ernest? My brothers are here. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir. All day.
Hello.
First of all, happy Father's Day, my brothers.
To you too, my brother. To
Happy
you too.
Father's Day, gentlemen.
Happy
Yes,
Father's
thank you.
Day. Happy Father's Day, everyone.
Happy Father's Day.
And on today, we're talking Father's today. This year, it seems to be a very special Father's Day. It's something different because of what's going on in the world. We know what's going on with all the protests going on out there for injustice. And even on Friday, we celebrated Juneteenth. Mm-hmm. And there's been a resurgence of the African-American culture, especially the Black man. You know, I've seen so many uplifting texts and posts going on, and not just today, but happy Juneteenth, and texts about I love a Black man, and just brothers and sisters just sending communications, just showing love. And so I just want to ask each and every one of you brothers, how does it feel to be a father in these times? And what, first of all, are you celebrating fatherhood today? Let's start with you, Ernest. How are you feeling today, and what's going on?
And tell us who you are too. Give us
and let them know who you are too.
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for asking. First of all, thank you for having me on the second time. Hello, Dr. Pamela. How are you today?
It's good to see you
pleasure
again.
Seeing you. Yes, it's always a pleasure seeing you. My name is Ernest Moore. I'm the executive director, founder of Future Gents, a nonprofit organization where we teach our young men the importance of being a gentleman. We base that on 6 principles: style, etiquette, leadership, confidence, effective communication, and overall manhood skills. We've also just added mentoring to that. So, Rob, you know all about that. You were there when we laid the first brick for Future Gents. Brian Walker is there as well now. That's who I am. And to answer your question, it feels great to be a father in this day and time. I take my fatherhood responsibility very seriously. I don't have any sons, so Future Gents became my sons. I had two daughters. One just turned 35, and one will be 27 this year. So,
awesome. Congratulations.
Hashtag girl dad.
Yeah.
Exactly, awesome. Girl dad, absolutely.
Amazing. Brother Kenyon, this is my brother from another mother. Love him to death. Come on, let us know how you feeling today, my brother.
Oh, first of all, man, thank y'all for having me on. I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity to be with you all on this panel. Yes. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. My name is Kenyon Prezi. I'm a business owner. We just did a name change, so my business now is Keynote Construction's Pinnacle. We do residential and commercial services. I'm a native of Orangeburg, South Carolina, later migrated to Charleston, South Carolina. I also attend the same church as Brother Robert there, so I live also on Stone Mountain. So again, thank you all for having me today.
Man, how's fatherhood? Tell us about fatherhood. How's it going for you, man?
Man, it's going well. Having to have that conversation with my son, having to talk to him about how to get home safe if he does encounter the police. He's 26, and I do have 2 grandsons as well. So just having that conversation with him, man, it's been kind of strange to really sit him down and tell him, hey, man, make it home. That's the most important thing. And it's hard because he's a rambunctious young man. So he's been doing some marching in the area that he lives. He lives in Ankeny, Iowa currently.
Wow.
So,
whoa.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
So tell me about it.
Wow. Awesome. And my man, Brian, my man, good to see you, bro. You looking good. How you feeling today? Tell the people who you are.
Man, I feel real good, man. Thank you very much for having me on the show. It is a true honor, and I don't use that word often, man, but it's a true honor to be in your presence, EP. I am also on the board of Future Gents. I'm the chairman. I work very closely with Ernest Moore, where we we're not trying to, we are leading these young men into the lifestyle of gentlemen.
Love it.
I've got two sons. I've got one daughter, and I've got one grandson. So talking about these times to my children have been a little difficult because I have been extremely emotional over the past few weeks.
Yeah.
And I've had a hard time, sometimes putting sentences together. I've been very vocal at my job, and they have stepped up to the plate and really are making a difference and doing some positive things for the Black community, man.
Yeah.
Can I jump on the emotional part? What does that look like? And I guess we got to do it when we come back from break. But it is an emotional time, and I would love to hear more about that in terms of I heard a father on the air recently say that it's so emotional to him that he just doesn't talk to a 6-year-old about it because he doesn't know how to. So I would just love to know when we come back, what does that emotion do for you all in your fatherhood?
Yeah. But we'll be back with the live exchange.
All right, welcome back.
To the live exchange. I'm Robert Pierce.
And
I don't
I'm
know
Dr.
who was supposed to go, but
I don't either. We just,
it's all good
together.
But we're back here, and we're talking fatherhood for this last hour of our show, and we have 3 wonderful guests: Ernest Moore, Kenyon Prezi, and Brian Walker, my brothers here. And before the break, we were talking about just what it means to be a father, and Brian was talking about the emotion of this time and talking to their children about fatherhood. So, Brian, I want to give you the floor again to continue your thought and talk about the emotion of these times and being a father and having to talk to your children.
Yeah, man. I grew up in the Midwest. Mr. Prezi, your son's in the Midwest. I grew up in the Midwest, and I didn't see a lot of prejudice, a lot of things that you see now today. I didn't see a lot of that as a youngster. When I moved down here to Georgia, I've been in Georgia now for 32 years, and it's been different. It's been different, but I'm gonna tell you, man, I've been tearful. I've been really, really tearful. I've been having some difficult conversations, trying to get my point across to the people that seemingly do not understand. And I've had a Caucasian fella ask me one day. He said, "What do I tell my children?" And I said, "What do you tell your children?" And he really couldn't understand that there was a problem. Clearly he couldn't, because that's the kind of question that you don't expect to hear. At least I didn't anyway. And then, the other thing that they try to do, they try to turn it around and make it about themselves and say, well, I got a Black friend. No.
Right.
It's not the time to tell me you got a Black friend and you can relate to what I'm going through and what I'm dealing with. You have no idea what it is to live in my skin every single day. We as Black men have to prove ourselves every day we walk out of the house.
Yeah.
Kenyon, what's that face? What are you thinking?
Because you said your son is in Idaho, Iowa. So that's different.
That's right.
When you said it, all of our faces was like, whoa, because, we know what that could mean for African-American young man. Yeah. So talk about the conversations you're having with your son.
Well, when you started talking about the emotions, to have that conversation with him, and, he asks a lot of questions, and, he kind of like want to see my lead on things. So him being dab smack in the middle of Iowa, which Ankeny is about 45 minutes away from Des Moines. So he's also dating currently my daughter-in-law. I call her my daughter-in-law, and they have 2 interracial kids because she's Caucasian. So, he's having a struggle, and I'm having to talk him through, because she's Caucasian. So she doesn't know how it is to be a Black in America. He's experiencing all kinds of racism now from coworkers, people not acting like they want to have conversations with him. So I've been having to kind of strengthen him and give him some tactics on how to navigate, because it's different. Like you said, it's not like Atlanta, one of the melting pots. So he works at a bank. So he gets that person that comes to the teller window and they want their business, but they don't want to talk to him. Wow. So emotionally for him, he just started a movement in that area. He was out one day with his sign, just him by himself. Oh, wow. And the police rolled on him. Wow. He started recording. So it all ended good. The police chief, and he pulled all those people together, and they actually did a march, you know, a protest. So
That's
yeah,
amazing.
it's on YouTube and stuff. So I'm proud of him, the way that he was able to navigate. So just like most of the other fathers, you know, it's hard having to talk to your son about what he's seeing. And I actually had an opportunity to go to Minneapolis and had that experience to share with him. So yeah, it's hard, man. It's hard trying to just keep him together with it. You know, his head is really, really spinning right now.
Wow.
I think one thing that gets lost in this conversation are the conversations with our daughters. And so, you know, I'm going to target you now, Ernest, because you know, as a woman, as a Black woman, I've been pulled over and I've experienced some pretty scary things as well. You know, I've been pulled over in a, you know, dark alley. I'm not moving. I'm not stopping here. I'm not. So I'm turning my hazard lights on. I'm going slow. I'm pulling to the side. And I'm going to go to the next shopping center. I get there. I've got 5 cop cars cornering me and guns on, you know, scary. Right. Just me and my 2-year-old daughter. I've had an officer scream at me because he was convinced I was speeding. And I said, well, no, sir, I actually looked at the thing and I wasn't. Don't you dare lie to me. And he was trying to provoke me, provoke me. I refused to be provoked, but it was scary. His gun was on his hand, or his hand was on his gun the whole time. So I don't by any means want to discredit what Black men are going through. But I also know that these are conversations I have with my daughter as well as my son. I have a daughter and a son. How do you have these conversations, and what kind of conversations do you have with your daughters, Ernest?
Well, you know, that's a great point, Dr. Pamela. And before I answer your question, let me address the 2 previous points. I've been dealing with this my entire life. Mm-hmm. Okay, this didn't just start because of George and you know, all the others that got murdered senselessly. Right. So Rob, you know, we from up north. Yeah. We've dealt with this our entire lives. Yeah. The only difference is there's 2 differences in this day and time. And I'm speaking for myself probably through Rob, but I'm older than Rob, so I kind of know, have a little bit more experience. But we had those same problems in Philly, right? You couldn't go into a certain neighborhood, period, point blank. You just couldn't. And if you were there, you were on a milk box the next day. So we saw this undercover racism all our lives. Yeah. Coming down to Atlanta, when I drove on 85 and I saw somebody with a Confederate flag on their car, that just put it smack dab in my face. Yeah. So it's kind of like Malcolm's with the fox and the wolf, right? Up north, it's the fox. Down here, it's the wolf. Either way, they're going to eat you. One's just going to sugarcoat you. The other one's just going to straight go for your neck. Mm-hmm. To That's your good. Point, and I see you.
You got 30 seconds.
Right. I have to talk with my daughters, and I let them know, hey, listen, don't have court in the street. If he said you were speeding, okay, take your ticket, get gone. The whole purpose is to get home.
That's good.
Wow, that's good.
It's not very different from the talk we have with our sons.
No, not at all.
No, not at all. And we're going to come back after this break, and we're going to continue talking with our brothers. And we're just talking fatherhood in these day and times. And so please stay with us. We're here on the live exchange with Robert Pierce and Dr. Pam. We'll be back.
All right. So the science. I don't know. So first of all, Black fathers get a bad rap.
Absolutely.
You know, there's all these stereotypes. They're absent. They're not this. They're not that. And you know, I was just listening to a forum where it was Candace Owens and T.I. and they were going at it. And, you know, and I was listening to the comments and they're like, oh, Candace Owens is dropping the knowledge. You know, oh, I used to ride with T.I., but I can't ride with him now. And I was like, is she dropping the knowledge? What she was saying, she was giving statistics on how 70% of homes don't have fathers involved. That is not true. In fact, what the CDC found was that Black fathers are more involved with their children than any other race in this country. When's the last time you heard that? Right. When's the last time that narrative has been pushed forward?
They don't push that now because they may not live in the same home, but we are involved
Exactly.
And so that's where they twist the narrative.
Right. Because what is said is that it's not that there are a lot of families that the husbands and wives may not be married in many cases, but the fathers are still involved with their children. There are divorces in white families, but even in comparison to that, Black fathers are still more involved with their Black children than white fathers who are divorced from the mothers and in their involvement with children. Black fathers surpasses involvement. That's the research.
That's the research.
Well,
from the
Pam,
CDC.
I tell you. Well, Dr. Pam, that's it's funny you said that, because I'm a father to my son, and he's not my biological son. It was because his father was absent, and when I met my wife, Sandra, he was probably 10 years old. So since that time, right now, we're probably 15 years in the game. Since that time, he's changed his name to my name. All my grandkids carry my name. So, you know, I'm not saying anything negative to the guy who wasn't in place, but I'm glad I was in place.
Yeah.
You know, to be able to join hands with them. And I mean, it's a sad statistic that we're hearing this, and 74% is surely something new, you know what I'm saying? Because 20 years ago, that wasn't the number. But
I don't even know if that's the number now. It was just thrown out there in a forum. That's what my thing today, y'all. I just need y'all to read and do the research, because I don't know if that's the number, but I know what the CDC said.
Well, to the research point, that is correct. You're both correct, right? It's actually 72%. But when they talk about the statistic, they're talking about the fact that they are single mothers, right? That doesn't mean that the fathers are not in the lives or have an influence on the children. That's the part that they leave off. That's the part they leave off. But yes, a lot of us, for whatever reason, there are a sundry of reasons why. But this didn't just start. See, what we have to realize is, when we talk about systematic racism, when we talk about Black Lives Matter, we got to go all the way back to the early 1800s, when they stopped bringing us over from Africa and they started boarding houses. See, this is where all this started. A Black slave, a Black male slave, his only job was to produce more slaves. That was his main function. Fast forward to today, when we talk about BMs and BDs, it has not changed. It has not changed. We are fortunate that we have some brothers here, and there are thousands, probably millions others just like us.
This isn't rare.
We don't get the recognition. We don't get the recognition. So
and you know what? And it probably was by design, because back in the day, when they started the welfare programs and things of that nature, the projects and all of that, man, you know, they separated the families once again. So we were separated when we first got to this land, and then they separated us again. So, you know, there was a pattern there that was learned behavior, you know, and we didn't always know how to go back to where we should have been. But we are, but we are going in droves. We're going in droves.
Yeah. I want to ask, and I put this out for any of the brothers to answer. What would you say to the father who checked out? You know, he hasn't been around. What would you say to encourage him to check back in?
You missing out. You missing out, bro. Missing out. You know, not only from teaching that young man and being in his life, but you're missing a piece of you as well. You know, it's not just laying down and getting up. You have left a being there. A part of you is still there. You're missing out. If you don't go back and get that, it's a problem. Not only for you, but you know, but it's a problem for him. But it's a bigger problem, I think, for you.
Well, it's the cycle, right? His father probably was not there, and his grandfather was probably not there, and his great grandfather was probably not there. So it is a evolving cycle. What I would do is I would sit down and talk to the young man. Hey, while Brian is correct, you're missing out. Let's talk about what we can do to recover what you missed out. Now, you'll never get that time back. You've missed that first tooth being missed. You've missed the prom. You missed all those things. But let's talk about what we can do to recover so that this doesn't happen again.
Right. Right. And it's funny you brothers say that because, I've been in a situation where earlier on, I was real young when I met them, and my son, nobody suffers but the child.
Right.
He's so much emotional trauma that we're
Yeah.
still bobbing and weaving through, that whole thing that he had to go through, the father not showing up. And I encouraged earlier on for him, and I still do to the certain extent, but my son's an adult now, so he makes the choice. So I even earlier on tried to initiate conversations with Kyrie, who's my son, and his biological father, and the guy just never stepped forward. And even now with my son's children, as a young man with 2 kids, man, he has a 3-year-old and a 4-month-old, and he's still a young man himself. So having to encourage him to stick and stay, I don't care what it is that you go through, man, you got to have that staying power. And I've been really being real stern on him about when things spiral out of control, man. This is the unit that you've been given. This is the place that you've been planted. So you got to make that work. And thank God, man, he's been
Awesome.
sticking in there. I mean, my hat's off to him. And there are a lot of young men that don't have that somebody to say, well, hey, man, your father wasn't there, so here's what it's supposed to look like. Here's what it's supposed to represent. And what we do is we encourage these young men, who are broken themselves because of the experience. They're broken. We're in a broken system. So we have to really, from a biblical standpoint, pour into them that they're able to face these challenges that they're going to face as Black men, as Black fathers. It's easy to walk away. I mean, this guy, I'm not throwing him under the bus, but don't know where he is. And me and my son, we rocking, and we don't really care.
Yeah.
It's just him. He's a strong father right now, and I thank God for putting me in place to be able to serve this family, man. And it's just about serving one another, and it's a good thing, man. I'm truly blessed because of it. It's made me become a better man.
Awesome. Ernest, let me ask you this, and Brian, because of know the Future Gents, and you work with a lot of young men who never knew their father, and you are the first positive male figures, or even period male mentors, anything to come into their life. Talk about the challenges and rewards of pouring into young men who, for the first time, they walk into a room and see other men.
Well, I would tell you one of the challenges I have. I'm sorry, Ernest, forgive me, but you want to go ahead, bro?
No, go ahead, Brian, please.
I've had challenges where these young men just don't know what to do. They have no idea how to react, because what they're encountering is men coming into their homes with their mothers. It's like it's, and I hate to say this because there are a lot of single mothers that are doing a fantastic job, that are doing some excellent work with these boys.
Right.
I've got an auntie, and I know I'm digressing here, but I've got an auntie. My uncle died many years ago, and she was left with 3 boys. And she's done a hell of a job with those 3 children, with those 3 boys. They're all grown now, doing their own thing. None of them have been to prison, and none of them on drugs, and it's all good. A couple of them married. One has a great career, and they're doing great jobs. But what these young boys don't see oftentimes is a stable person in their lives. So the challenges that they have is trust. They don't have any trust. And it's difficult, it's difficult to gain it because we don't have all the time we need to get that trust back or to establish the trust. Yeah. So the number one problem I think we have when we're dealing with these young men is getting them to trust us first. And that's a difficult task because no one cares. Oh, wow. No one cares how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's it. And so that's the biggest problem I've seen. Ernest?
Yeah.
And Brian is 1000% correct. Let me add 2 other words to that. Like and trust. Know, like, and trust, right? They have to first know us, then like us, and then they'll be able to trust us. And let's add an addendum or another word to that, love. See, they're not used to love. They're in so much chaos that they don't get a chance to see. They don't get a chance to see the know, like, trust, and love. My biggest challenge is they're not used to structure.
Yes.
Including the parents. I've had more parents get mad at me for teaching these young men structure than the sons themselves. So I know your producer gave me the signal, so I'll hold off on that. And yeah.
All right, when we come back, we're going to continue this conversation. We've got a couple of more questions, definitely the other things that we're going to hit on. So stay with us. If you've got questions, definitely enter those into the comment box and we will touch on those. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
We'll be back.
All right. So this week's balance challenge is very simple. One thing, one word. All I'm asking is this week, I want you to read. Okay? There are too many important things happening, too many important things on the table. Ernest has plenty of books behind him. So if you need one, pick it up with your mask on. We have too many things on the table right now. We have an executive order that was just passed. If you read the fine print, there's some loopholes, you know, so some things are optional. You know, the chokehold is banned unless you feel like your life is in danger. What does that really mean? I want you all to read, spend the week reading. There are so many, you know, for example, we know about Tulsa. We know about Rosewood. I just listened to a young lady, Angela Jones, who told us that she's doing the research and she's finding out that there's at least 85 other cities that were massacred in the way that Tulsa and Rosewood were. We weren't taught this in school. We have to pick up a book and read these things, or the internet or whatever, and read these things ourselves. So my challenge to you all this week is to read. There is some important information we are not being taught. There are laws on the table. They just passed a lynching law. Do we understand that? Do we understand the dynamics around that and what it actually means? So read. There is no time that is more important in my lifetime that I can think of than now to read. If we're in the middle of a revolution, we need to know what we are revolutionizing about. So that is my challenge to everybody this week.
I accept that challenge.
And I accept your challenge as well, Dr. Pam. And that's where my frustration lies, right? Because you're talking about lynching laws in 2020. In 2020, right?
Right.
Yeah. We're going to come back because we're going to come back from this. We're going to talk about that, Ernest, no doubt.
Yes.
So we'll be right back because we're going to talk about that. So we'll be right back here in the live exchange. Welcome back to the live exchange. I'm Robert Pierce.
And I'm Dr. Pamela.
And right today we're talking about fatherhood with three brothers, my brothers Ernest, Kenyon, and Brian. We're having a wonderful conversation about what it means to be a father in the times of today. There's a lot of civil unrest, injustice that's going on. Coronavirus, we cannot even forget about coronavirus, all that's going on. And now more than ever, it's important to be fathers and be a good father. And before the break, we were talking, and Ernest, you was bringing up lynching. And we was talking about the modern day lynching. So go on and continue your thought on what you were saying.
Because, you know, this is something that happened back in the 1800s, the early 1900s, you know.
Last month.
Exactly, right? To have this happen now is when Brian talks about emotional, that's emotional, right?
Yeah.
And we're talking about Los Angeles, right? We're not talking about Mississippi or the brother in South Carolina or
you're talking about the hanging.
Alabama. Lynching, straight lynching, hanging from trees in 2020. Yeah. This is disheartening, right?
Yeah.
This is disheartening.
For those of you who don't know, I'm hoping you know, but if you don't, there were two Black men in separate cases, separate scenario. 5?
Yeah, we're at 5 now.
We're at 5.
Houston was one of them. I think one happened in Georgia as well.
Yeah.
Houston, Georgia, Los Angeles. Yeah,
I heard about the two in LA.
That was like 2 years ago, I think. It was an old article that they brought back as well.
Regardless, there are Black men that have been found hanging from trees.
Right.
Recently.
Yeah, and it's you know, as a father, it's tough because, you know, our children tend to look to us for wisdom oftentimes, and And these days, I don't have a lot of wisdom because, we tell them, comply with the police. We've seen when people comply, they get killed. You know what I mean? What do you tell? I remember a conversation I had with my daughter, and it bothers me because I believe I'm doing okay for myself. I don't no longer live in the projects. I left New York. We're doing okay. And I live in a good community, but I'm still having conversations. Before I taught my daughter how to drive, I had to teach her how to respond to police. Do you know how dumb of a conversation that is with a 16-year-old child, a girl?
Yeah.
You hear what I'm saying? It's like, come on. And so,
but to your point, Rob, that's our job, right? As fathers,
absolutely.
Right? We want to do everything we can to protect our children, male or female, right? So yes, we have to have those conversations, Dr. Pam, Kenyon. We got to have those conversations, even with our daughters, even if they're a passenger, right? Our job is to protect our children. So yes, you're 1000% correct, Rob.
Yeah, and and it's just sad that we got to have these, and I call them dumb conversations in these times, that we got to sit down and still have in 2020 have conversations to be careful. That's dumb, man. That's not acceptable.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
It's crazy, right? And so as a father, I should be talking about, investing and building wealth for generations, but I'm talking about how to deal with the police. Come on, man.
That's ridiculous. One of the things that I wanted to ask is that in these conversations about George Floyd, there's a lot been said that he was calling out for his mother. When he called out for his mother, every mother heard that call out. I'm curious to know, because the conversation has largely been around mothers and mothers watching over their sons and so forth. We can all see here, we have a panel of fathers. How do you respond when you hear those kinds of things that are largely focused on mothers? How do we bring us together? We are parents, even if we're not parenting in the same house. We're parents.
You have the difficult conversations. You have the conversation that you don't want to have. You simply sit down and talk about it and say, listen, this is what I'm feeling. And I want to hear what you're feeling. And we have to learn how to listen. We men, many times, don't learn to listen until later in life. We have to learn to listen to the women that we are dealing with regularly, especially our children's mother. If we don't do that, man, what a problem we're going to have with chaos. Talking about being loud, the two of us would be loud in front of that child. So we got to learn how to speak and have the difficult conversations effectively. Absolutely.
How about if we started before we have the children? Right? How about we do it then? How about we sit down and find out all about the young lady? How about we court that young lady? How about we talk about some of the struggles that she went through as a teenager or as a child, and the same in reverse? See, and I spoke of it earlier. If she's just a BM, look, we don't really care about her, right? She's just BM, right? But when she is my child's mother, when I have respect for her, exactly. When I have respect for her, that changes the whole dynamic. We have to start before. One of the things we teach, self-control, self-discipline. So get to know this young lady before you lay down and procreate.
Right. And there's a possibility, and I think you're about to say something, Kenyon. I'll just say real quick, there's a possibility that it may not work out. There are some strategies to put in place when they don't work out, to still be a father, to still be a collaborator, co-parent. Go ahead, Kenyon.
I have the opportunity not only to talk to my son about this, but I often talk to Kaylin, who is the mother of his children. And, I talk to both of them. I listen to them like Brother Ernest was saying and Brother Brian was saying, and they ask a lot of questions, and we make things real plain between each other. And Rob talked about earlier about wisdom and not having a whole lot of it right now, and having to have the kind of conversations with them. I listen a lot to them, and I'm able to help them navigate together, how to sometimes ain't no fruit on the vine. They in the same house. I can remember many times, he was like, yo, I'm leaving. And I'm like, well, if you could leave, but somebody else is gonna raise them children. Think about how you're gonna feel about that. You know what I'm saying? And every time we have that conversation, he's like, well, no, I don't want them to be like me. You know what I'm saying? Having no father, doing high school, doing prom time and all that sort of thing. And then on the other hand of that, Kaylin, she often doesn't know what to do. She's a Caucasian woman. She might have dated black before, but she doesn't understand, how to navigate the family unit in the house with a black man.
Yeah.
So her parents, great people, but they're still trying to grasp the idea that their daughter has joined with the black man. So
wow,
it's rough. It's rough.
Your point reminds me of Goodfellas when the young man left Karen, right? And the two older guys came back and said, you gotta go home.
You gotta go home.
You gotta go home.
Always.
You gotta go home. We're not telling you not to do what you do out there, but you gotta go home. See, and there lies the difference, right? We don't have that, generally speaking, in our community where we have an old head that will go back and talk to these young men and say, yo, you gotta go home. Yeah. Okay, what you do? You go home and take care of them children. You go home and take care of your wife.
You chose her. You better get there.
Exactly.
Work it out. Because them kids not going to care why y'all was arguing, why y'all broke up. They too young to understand that. All they going to want to know is, where did you go? So I often tell them, man, hey, yo, think about it like this. Is it something that you can get past? Is it something that you can get over?
You get through it all.
Life is gonna life is gonna deal you hands sometimes that you're gonna be like, oh man, I'm gonna throw in the bag. Well, if that's your position, but he always ends up back home, man, and it's been pretty strong for him and the family. So that's what we got to do, brother Ernest.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I just want to say thank you to the three of you brothers for just being positive examples in my life. Love you brothers individually, and collectively. And just want to say, again, happy Father's Day to you all. And thank you for standing on the wall and standing in the gap for the brothers who, for whatever reason. And, we want to encourage our brothers out there who are, absent fathers. Come on, it's not too late. Get back in the game. Let's go.
Come on.
We need you all. Let's go.
Phone call.
Make that call. Swallow the pride. Whatever it takes. Get back in that child's life. So I just want to say thank you. And on today, we celebrate you. Today, time is just about out, and so I didn't want it to go before I said thank you publicly. I love you guys, and there's nothing y'all can do about it.
I love you too, brother. Love you too, for real.
Gentlemen, how can people get in touch with you if they need to connect?
You can reach me at Brian David at Facebook, Brian D. Walker 225 on IG. You can just call me. My number is 404-644-1539. That's what it is.
All right. Thank you.
And you can reach me, Ernest.Moore@futuregents.org is my email address. You can also reach us at www.futuregents.org. We have our own page on Facebook, Future Gents. We are Future Gents Official on Instagram. And my number is public as well, 678-250-4368. That 4368 stands for Gent, GENT.
Oh, all right.
Oh, absolutely.
All right. Is that Kenyon? Like, I ain't giving my information out. Is that...
Okay. That's not it. Yo, my website is kcpatl.com. You need your house painted, Dr. Pan, we can come take care of that for you. But if there's anybody that might have any questions, I'm on Facebook, Kenyon and Sandra. I share my page with my wife. Be glad to help you guys Brother Moore, Brother Ernest, and Brother David, as you guys are going forward in that endeavor to train up young men.
All right.
It was
all hands
thank
on
you
deck.
so much. Thank you so much for joining us. Today's show, everybody, was really looking at activism with the camera, activism through fatherhood. And just in listening to everything that they've said about fatherhood, it's clear that especially being a Black father who is aware, who is intentional about the work that he does with his child, is in and of itself activism. So I thank you all for that. And I thank everybody for listening today. We are here every Sunday from 6 to 8 on Sensation Station Network. Check us out, get engaged. And remember, when we dialogue better,
we do better.
We do better.
Have a blessed week. We love y'all.
Love you too, bro.
Love you back, bro.
Yes, sir.